cliffs, you will begin to see some people possibly walking along the top. Up to 1.5 million people visit these cliffs on an annual basis, making them Ireland's second most popular tourist attraction after the Guinness Storehouse in Dublin. During the nesting season here at the Cliffs of Moher, which is from the middle of April until the middle of July, over 40,000 birds will nest here, making it one of Ireland's largest seabird colonies. The largest family of birds that nest here are the auks family, and they consist of the guillemot, the razorbill, and the puffin. So we'll start with the puffin. The puffin is the most popular bird and the one we get most asked about. Puffins have multicolored beaks, they are black and white in colour, and they also have orange flippers. They come here to nest, but they don't actually nest. They burrow into the grassy areas along the cliff, and then they mate in a pair. Their direct cousins, the guillemot and the razorbill, look very similar. The razorbill is jet black on top with a white underbelly and has a white stripe running along a flat beak, a flat black beak. The guillemot is a bit lighter and grey in colour with a white underbelly and a long pointed beak. You should be able to see some of them in the water all around the boat. The crew will point out these birds from time to time during the voyage. They're quite amazing birds. The guillemot and the razorbill actually don't build any nest. They lay their egg directly onto the edge of the cliff, onto the cliff ledges. The egg is actually shaped in such a way that it cannot roll off the edge if one of the pair leave. If the egg was to fall over, it actually rolls in a centric circle rather than from left to right, and this is a safeguard mechanism because there's no nest to hold the egg inside. As we get a bit closer to the center or the highest point on the cliffs, if you look to your right, you should be able to see a large cave. This cave on our right, if the crew could point it out to you now, featured in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which was the second last Harry Potter film to be filmed in the series. Another very famous film that was filmed here was the 1987 classic, The Princess Bride. In this particular film, these cliffs were the Cliffs of Insanity, with Wesley and Buttercup and Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. I'm have to die. If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube. It's a classic. It went straight to home video in 1987. Around this section, you can see a round tower. This tower was built in 1813 by Cornelius O'Brien, who was a local landlord who owned the cliffs until his death in 1857. He built the tower for the many Victorian tourists who used to come and take in the magnificent views from the top. You see, from the top on a clear day, you can see as far south as our county of Kerry, as far west as the Aran Islands, and as far north as County Galway. The sea stack, coming up on our right hand side, was formed a very, very long time ago, and is purely formed by sea erosion. The first stage of erosion would have worked out a cave. Eventually this cave would go and get eroded right through to the other side, and this would have created an archway coming out from the top of the cliff down onto the top of the sea stack. Over time then the archway collapsed, and that's what left the sea stack as we see it today. But this process happens over a very long period of time. We have seen some photographs of the sea stack from the late 1800s or early 1900s, and it looks very similar to the way it does today. The water here is very deep right up to the edge of the cliff. Currently, the vessel is operating in 120 feet of water.
Wow.
The height of the cliffs themselves at the tower is 702 feet or 220 meters. The last headland point that we pass, here on our right hand side, is called Isle na Sharach. And Isle na Sharach means the Cliff of Foals.
Oh yeah.
You see, every single place name in Ireland has a meaning. When the British were mapping out our country in the mid 1600s, they listened to what the local people were saying in our Gaelic dialect, and they phonetically wrote down what people were saying. So I'll just give you an example of some of the local towns and what they mean. We have a town very close to us here called Lisdoonvarna. And Lisdoonvarna translates into the gap between the